change the world.
Hello everyone, it's your boy Theo here with a guide to Snowverflow. Snow BT was hyped by the community for this effect, but what exactly is it? It's the ability for a character to snapshot a higher HP damage limit than usual because of the refunds from Snow's BT effect. This feat is most easily pulled off by a BT character when they are using a BT finisher. The coming parts will get very technical with quite a lot of numbers and stats. If you just want to see the mechanic in action, feel free to jump ahead to this following timestamp. Now, how to achieve Snowverflow. Let's say we have Garnet right here. Her default HP damage limit is 130k. I'm just using a random number here, just an example. When using a BT finisher, Garnet gets a special HP damage limit at 500k. This is quite a standard HP damage limit for AoE BT finishers. After using her BT finisher, because of Snow's BT effect, Garnet was refunded 250k worth of bravery. Let's ignore brave reductions and overflow just for this example. So Garnet's current bravery is now 250k. It's higher than her default HP damage limit. Because of this, the game will increase her HP damage limit to compensate, letting it stay at her BT limit of 500k. This phenomenon is not new. It's been observed before by BRV Retain BT characters like Jacked and Locke. Their very next attack after using a BT finisher usually has very high first HP dumps. So how is Snow BT different then? With the help of his refund effect and with some proper setup, we can snapshot this higher HP damage limit. The trick is to make sure that future refunds are still higher than the character's default HP damage limit. So in this example, as long as we are able to generate a brave refund exceeding 130k, then Garnet's HP damage limit will stay high. It sounds easy on paper, right? But in practice, this exploit can be quite tough to pull off. Relevant stats. I'll divide this segment into two: consistency and optimality. Consistency means the stats that will help us pull off Snowverflow easier. These are max brave, gain brave overflow, this is different from stolen brave overflow, and finally brave gain up. These three are ranked in order of importance based on my own personal experiments. The second category is optimality. There's only one relevant stats here: HP damage up. Just to illustrate the difference between these categories, consistency lets you exceed your default limit more easily, but optimality is what allows character to do 500k HP damage instead of 300k. Now for the characters. Not all BT characters are the same. They each excel in different things. Characters that can more reliably pull off Snowverflow are ones with self-brave gain up and self-brave refund from their attacks. To see a character's self-buffs, check out Dissidia Compendium. Go to a character's page, click on passives, then click on C85 and scroll down a little. It will show what bonuses each character gets with their C85 awakening. The ones we want are Brave Gain Up and Brave Gain Overflow. This character will be able to pull it off easier, but that's not to say that others can't do it. Even C80 BT characters can pull this off, but the setup cost is just a little bit higher. With the theories out of the way, let's see in action first, then I'll talk about the setup and how you can tailor the build to your character of choice. Different characters will want different buffs from your calls. What you are seeing right now is a successful Ramza setup. This is performed in a real Lufinia Plus event without synergy stats on Ramza and no Ultima Weapon equipped. As you can see here, Ramza is able to snapshot a higher HP damage limit, and this allows his HP attacks to do 400k damage per dump. And this is a successful Garnet setup. Garnet is able to snapshot a higher HP damage limit, and this allows her to deal slightly higher damage with her base skills but very high damage with her LD auto lasers. The discrepancy of damage is because her LD follow-up is a full HP damage attack, while her skills are split HP damage. If you are interested in the full run and setup for each Garnet and Ramza, I've uploaded 2 unlisted videos. You can find the links in the description down below, and you can also find the call and sphere setup at the end of each video. Now for how to set up the whole thing. What you see here are some of the calls I've compiled. I listed only calls with party-wide effect and has at least 2 relevant stats. It's not exhaustive, but it's good enough starting point for you to try out. The list is somewhat sorted by order of effectiveness in terms of max brave and gain overflow. Again, different unit requires different stats. If your unit lacks self-brave gain up from their Crystal Awakening, then that unit will likely benefit more from brave gain up calls rather than overflow. So you do need to test it out yourself to figure out how to best proceed, and I'll be guiding you along the way. So what I suggest doing first is have a green snow and your BT unit of choice, preferably without the Ultima Weapon. Having an Ultima Weapon will increase your default HP limit, and it can potentially make it harder for your current Brave to exceed this limit. Try it first without Ultima and then use Ultima later to see if it still works. For the third unit, since we are doing a realistic battle ready setup, it can be anyone that handles the orb or the boss mechanics. But if you are not worried about that, then you can use a support character with good mixture of max Brave up, Brave gain up and Brave gain overflow. For the calls, just pick 3 from the list previously. For the summon, use Brothers, and it's optional, but if your character has any max Brave up artifacts, use those instead of attack. Now, enter a battle of your choice. If you would like to have an easier time, you can try it first at Divine Ifrit, because this fight has no reductions and everyone has synergy stats. Set up Snow's BT and all your calls, and then use your BT finisher. This is the first and the easier hurdle. We can check if it works by looking at your character's health bravery. For some character, it will be incredibly obvious because you'll see numbers like 260k or even crazy high numbers like 500k. But for some character, it might be a bit subtler like 180k and you're unsure if it works or not. As long as the value is higher than the default HP damage limit, we are doing fine. For low number cases like this, we can usually find out for sure the next time they take a turn. Now for the harder part, making sure subsequent attacks still refund value above the default damage limit. This is usually where most setups fail. But don't worry, even if you fail, there are ways to check where it fails, so we can better understand what we need to adjust. For both successes and failures, there are 2 numbers that we need to watch out: how high the Brave refund is and how high the currently held bravery is. Let's check out a successful setup first. Here we are checking out the Ramza example again, and freeze. Let's check out the 2 values. Ramza's Brave refund is at around 300k and the currently held Brave is at 206k. The refund is very high, so that means we are stacking too much Brave gain up. Our character can actually hold that much bravery because we are limited by our max Brave and the gain Brave overflow. Ramza's current Brave at 206k is actually quite worrisome. It's probably only slightly above his default limit. So if I'm to make any changes to this build, I would reduce Brave gain and add more max Brave or gain overflow, or even some HP damage up. Ramza here is doing 450k HP dumps, while his BT finisher damage limit could exceed 500k. Adding more HP damage up will help in ramping up damage. And now let's study a case of failure with lightning. And freeze again. This is the exact moment of failure. We have 2 Brave refunds here, one from Snow's BT effect and the other from Lightning's own refund, valued at 114k and 191k. Theoretically, there's enough refund to exceed her HP damage limit. But take a look at her current bravery. It's at a lowly 108k. For Snowverflow to work in this particular scenario, she needs to exceed 220k worth of current bravery because that's how high her default damage limit is. We need twice what she's currently holding. Possible fix for this fail is to stack more and more max bravery and gain overflow while reducing her HP damage limit by unequipping Ultima Weapon. Switching up Laguna into another supportive unit will help also. So this is the methodology I recommend you to follow when trying out Snowverflow. Screenshot the team and calls you use for reference. Do a recording of your BT character doing their BT finisher and their next attacks, and pause to check the refund and current bravery value. We can fine tune from there. The refund too low, we add more brave gain up. The current brave too low, which means we make more max bravery and gain overflow. So both numbers are good, then maybe try replacing some of your calls to HP damage up debuff calls for better damage. Some extra things to note: depending on their BT finisher type, different character can have different upper damage limit. For characters with AoE BT finisher, the HP damage limit is usually around 500k, while characters with single target BT finisher can reach 700k HP damage limit. CellyBell of the Thornberry Troop was able to pull off 800k HP dumps with Terra's LD. That is 4 times at 100k damage, doing more than 3 million damage per target. If you are already able to reach your maximum HP damage limit, then adding more HP damage up is unnecessary. And that's it for the guide. I hope this helps the community in understanding Snowverflow better. I would love to do more research on different BT characters, but my good green characters are really limited. I don't own characters like Machina, Locke or Emperor, but I would love to experiment on them. So I'll leave them to all of you instead. Please let me know in the comments how your experiments went. How high of a BT face damage can you achieve with this? I'm very curious with your results. As usual, please smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. There'll be more research content coming up like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!